In all my years of watching basketball, I have never seen anything like the Caitlin Clark saga. When I tell you, the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever had a game today, and the news is about a foul. Like Andrew Reese fouls Caitlin Clark, and it is literally dominating the news cycle. This is insane, y'all. When have you ever remembered a time where we were covering fouls? Not the game, but fouls. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark. We're also going to discuss the risers and fallers in Dynasty fantasy basketball. We believe every NBA fan that plays fantasy football should also play fantasy basketball. So we're going to jump right into the get down. But before we do that, I got to talk about Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Finals this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. So let's jump right in with our Caitlin Clark watch. We're going to share some of the stats from her most recent game, and we're also going to talk about some of the story. So the first thing I want to do is just run into the stats from her last game. She had arguably one of her best games as a pro. This was today, the 16th, at the time of this recording. They played against the Chicago Sky. She played 37 minutes with 23 points. Yes. And she shot efficiently. 8 rebounds. Yes. 9 assists. Come on. No steals, but she had, and check this out, lean in, 2 blocks. Ooh, we love that. As usual, she's still turning the ball over. She ended the game with 5 turnovers, but in the end, she had 47 fantasy points. If you drafted Caitlin Clark for fantasy basketball, you are probably licking your chops right now, thinking she's only going to get better. Now, many of us spent a lot of draft capital to get her on their team. She might not pan out to be first round value this season, but if you did a startup dynasty or something like that, she would definitely be someone that will be producing at a higher level next season and beyond. So the next thing with Caitlin Clark is the daggone denouncing racism and misogyny business. I don't know if you guys heard, but there was an interview recently where a reporter asked her about how does she feel about her name being used to push a racist and misogynistic agenda. And she kind of stood up against it, which I really like, because she's been quiet, y'all. She's kind of just been like, yup, just here to play basketball. You know, people are going to talk. I can't control that. But she stood up and she said something to the effect of, hey, like, that's not okay for people to use my name to push those agendas. So I made a couple of shorts about it. And when I tell you, the comment section on these shorts are spicy as jalapeno butter. I'm just saying. So one of the points that I'm making is the fact that it feels like this is a political debate. It feels like there's a far right perspective and a far left perspective, and there's a huge trench of a line drawn in the sand. And Caitlin Clark is in the middle of it. Like, listen, we are in the middle of the NBA Finals, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but we're talking about WNBA basketball. We're talking about Caitlin Clark and not the NBA Finals, which is insane to me. I would note that I believe this is good for the WNBA. I think this is good for women's sports. I think it's good for Caitlin Clark's, career. And it's something that many people who are in the independent sports media space and in the independent political, news space are really gravitating towards this story. So we'll keep keeping you posted this summer to see how things go. But I just wanted to point out to you that It is really going down, y'all. Like, we are in a place that we've never been before, and Caitlin Clark is definitely in the center of it all. The next thing on the Caitlin Clark watch, we had Serena Williams actually speak out to support Caitlin Clark. If you didn't know, when Serena Williams first got into professional tennis, she was looked at very similar. The way some people are looking at Caitlin Clark, someone who's coming in, bringing a new flair to the game and bringing a lot of attention, and definitely can relate to some of what Caitlin is experiencing now. So I think it was fascinating that Serena raised her hand as an OG in the women's sports arena and being one of the pioneers to kind of break down the doors for women's athletes across the world. And her standing up for Caitlin, I think, is a really notable act, and I just wanted to shout her out for that. Last thing, the Angel Reese foul today. There was a flagrant foul one. And listen, guys, I don't think people should target anyone. I think the Kennedy Carter play a couple of weeks ago was dirty. This was a basketball play. Huh? Like, she literally went up for a block, and when she went up for the block, she hit Caitlin in the head. I saw the footage, I saw the tape, and it wasn't a dirty play. But because of this narrative that's being created, the WNBA versus Caitlin narrative, anytime something like this happens, it is news. I would say that the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese rivalry is going to be historic. This is something that we're going to be talking about for years. And I know Angel Reese was on a record a few weeks ago saying something to the effect of, it's not just about one player bringing all of this light to the women's game. I'm a part of it too. And watching her game today, I was actually, for Father's Day, we went to go get barbecue at a spot. And when we got to the spot, when I tell y'all, we had to wait like an hour and a half for our food. It was ridiculous. We almost walked out, but it was Father's Day. We gave them grace. So I got to watch pretty much the whole game, at least the second, third, and fourth quarter. And when I tell you, the WNBA is getting that right. These teams are both losing teams. Their records are trash right now, but they are like on TV, on national television, on CBS, getting run because of this rivalry. So I think that the WNBA is getting it right where they want to push that rivalry to the top. I'm telling you, it's going to be the Magic versus Bird of the WNBA's historic future. All right. So I'm super excited to talk about one of our fantasy sports partners, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the best place to play fantasy sports, including best ball, daily drafts, and pick'em. Start drafting in minutes for a shot at big cash and an enhanced game-watching experience. Sign up today and use the code GAMEPICK, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $250. It's like getting free money. Don't miss out on your chance to double up from the jump. To sign up, just download the Underdog Fantasy app on Android or iOS. Next up, I want to talk about the top 5 WNBA waiver wire targets you need to focus on for Week 6 of the WNBA fantasy basketball season. So the first person we want to take a look at, we talked about her earlier on in the year. She is still available. I'm talking about Stephanie Dolson. She is only rostered in 35.3% of ESPN leagues. Over the last 7 days, she's averaging 26.3 minutes per game, 6.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 0.7 steals, and check this out, y'all, 1.3 blocks. Definitely someone that's worth taking a look at. Next up, Ari McDonald from the Los Angeles Sparks. She's only rostered in 11.3% of leagues, y'all. Widely available. Over the last 7 days, she's averaging 26.3 minutes per game, and that is up from 18.9 minutes on the season. So there's been a huge increase in her playing time, so you want to pay attention to that. I always say playing time equals value in fantasy. If they get on the floor, there's a better chance that they'll put up some numbers for you. In terms of points, she's over the last 7 days putting up 15 points per game, which is up from 7.5, which is her season average. So there's an increase there. 2 rebounds a game, 4 assists, 1.7 steals. Definitely someone you want to take a look at. Next up, we got Maisha Hines-Allen from the Washington Mystics. Over the last 7 days, she's averaging 20 minutes per game, 11.3 points per game, 6.7 rebounds per game. Yes, 3 assists, 1 steal, my bad, and no blocks. She's only rostered in 11.9% of ESPN WNBA fantasy leagues. Grab her now. Next up, Leonie Fibic. She is only rostered in 2.6% of leagues. This is a gem right here. If she's available in your league, I would grab her because it's only going up. Over the last 7 days, she's averaging 24 minutes a game, up 10 minutes from her season average. 10 points per game. Yes. 2.5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. So over the last few games, her fantasy output, 15 fantasy points, 22 fantasy points, 13, and 24. This looks like it will continue to trend up. Her minutes are going up. This is someone you want to grab now. And then to round out our top 5 waiver wire targets, we have Lee Yuru from the Los Angeles Sparks. Only rostered in 2.3% of leagues. Over the last 7 days, averaging 18.7 minutes per game. That's up about 7 minutes from her season average. 8.7 points, 5.3 rebounds, 0.7 assists, 0.3 steals, and 0.3 blocks. This is not the craziest stat line, but again, she's getting some minutes, so it's definitely someone you want to take a look at. I want to talk about Drip. Attention collectors and sports enthusiasts. Discover Drip, your ultimate online shopping space for collectibles and sports cards. Sign up using our link, bit.ly/drip250. That's bit.ly/drip250 and receive up to $250 credit for free. No strings attached. Join the Drip community today and enhance your collection without breaking the bank. Don't miss out. Claim your free credit now while this offer lasts. Sign up at bit.ly/drip250. Drip, where every purchase tells a story. Now we're going to dig into our NBA Dynasty fantasy basketball risers and fallers for June 2024. Now this information is coming from #basketball, one of the most trusted sources in the fantasy community. Let's dig right in. So our top 10 remains stable. It has not changed since we included this segment into the show. And I don't give a shit, Sue puppy, who you are, what you do. But if you haven't joined a Dynasty League, you are missing out. And if you want to know how you can join one, you can join our Discord community and just drop some, notes there or some messages there like, hey, anybody got a Dynasty team that I can pick up or a league I can join? And we have a thriving community that will support you. If you want to join the Discord, all you have to do is visit BelieveInFantasy.com. Now, the top 10 is stable. Number 1, Wemby. Number 2, SGA. Number 3, Luka. 4, Jokic. 5, Tyrese Halliburton. 6, Chet. 7, Tatum. 8, Scotty Barnes. 9, Anthony Edwards. And number 10, Joel Embiid. Now, here are your risers for June 2024 for Dynasty Fantasy Basketball. Jalen Duren is up 3 points to number 45, according to #basketball overall Dynasty rankings. I am big on Jalen Duren. I was not always a big supporter of him. And honestly, I should have looked at him last year. I have come around and I'm definitely on the Jalen Duren bandwagon. Number 2, or the next person for the risers, quite a surprise for me when I saw this. So I wanted to point it out. A player that I really love for Dynasty, but also love for redraft leagues, Fred VanVleet from the Houston Rockets. It's surprising to me that he's a riser because he's an older player. And generally, if you're new to Dynasty, the older players are the lower the value. So to see a player at his age still being ranked high is quite surprising. He's up 6 spots to the number 55 player in Dynasty overall rankings for hashtag basketball. Now, this one is mind-blowing. A 13-point jump. A 13-spot jump, I should say. He rises 13 places to number 92. I'm talking about Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is not someone that's super high on any of my rankings. I haven't updated my Dynasty rankings in a while, but not somebody I'm really checking for. But it's worth noting that as LeBron and AD age, there might be more opportunity for him, but this is a really good sign for Austin Reeves managers. If you have him on your team, hold and see if this continues to rise. You might want to leverage this as a trade opportunity as well to sell high on him, because for me, I don't really have all the faith in him, but there might be someone in your league, a Lakers fan, who's interested in him, and you can leverage this boost in his dynasty value to execute the trade. And the next player we're going to talk about for our risers, actually this is our last riser, is Tari Eason from the Houston Rockets. He's up 8 spots up to 94. This is someone I was super high on in preseason last year. Didn't really have the season I would have liked to see from him, but we did see some progress. I believe that progress will continue in the next season, so keep an eye out for Eason. Now I want to talk about our NBA Dynasty Fantasy Basketball fallers, the people who are falling off, the people who are stinking up the joints according to the rankings. First up, somebody, it breaks my heart that he's falling. Doesn't quite stink up the joint, but he definitely ain't what he was a couple years ago in Dynasty. From the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. Bam is down 8 spots. He has dropped to 28. This is somebody that I was super high on, and I would have traded for him. I would have gave up assets for him, but now he's kind of falling off a little bit. Another player that we're watching fall off, Nick Claxton, down 6 spots to number 53. I like Nick Claxton. I honestly have him on one of my dynasty teams, but I'm trying to move him. I don't like Brooklyn scares me, yo. Like it's cursed, right? It's cursed. It's like nothing good is happening or has happened. I'm not going to go into the Harden, Kyrie, KD thing, but come on. Come on. I can't. Next up, Pascal Siakam is down 7 spots to 58. That's not shocking at all. I see why they would do that. This one is a little shocking. Jarrett Allen is down 5 spots to 59. Jarrett Allen is that guy. He's just been banged up. Like, it trips me out when people lose value because of injury. I don't know if that is the reason why he's lower on this list. But, yeah, that's surprising to me. This one, not so much. Keegan Murray is down 7 spots. He is down to 71. I'm not so crazy about Keegan Murray. But this one is wild. Whoo, baby. Trace Jackson Davis is up 66 spots. Let that sink in. I'm just saying. Your man is in the top 100. He is ranked 100 for hashtag basketball dynasty rankings overall. 66 spots is crazy. Man, that's wild. Trace Jackson Davis, definitely one of the waiver wire pickups of the year last season. I grabbed him in a couple of spots. If he's floating around in your dynasty waiver wire, go grab him and just hold and see what happens. This is super important, y'all. We need you to be a two-way player. What do we mean? On offense, we need you to watch the YouTube channel. If you don't watch the YouTube channel, start watching it now. On defense, we need you to listen to the audio podcast. That is the easiest way to support this channel. We make this content for free for you to provide value. All that we ask is that you play offense, watch the YouTube, and play defense. Listen to the podcast. If you don't listen to podcasts, this is the best time in human history to start listening to podcasts. Next up, let's talk about the NBA Finals quickly. Oh my God. So Dallas is down 3-0. They go into game 4. desperation mode, and they blow the Celtics out by 38. Now, here's the only issue I have, and a lot of people are giving me pushback. It's just where I stand. If you are losing by 40-something points with 5 minutes left in the third quarter in the NBA Finals, do you, A, figure out a way to make an adjustment to get it down to 20 before the end of the quarter and hopefully get it down to 10 before the end of the fourth and hopefully close it out in the last 2 minutes of the game? Do you try to come back, A? Or B, do you say, it's the finals, we can give them this game, let's just bench our stars? What? Like, where they do that at? Like, maybe it's me. Like, I'm not a professional NBA coach. I am not Joe Mazzulla. I am a NBA analyst. That's what I do. So I'm on the sidelines, right? But what I'm comparing it to is like, if I was a lion in the jungle and I captured a gazelle and I was just about to put him down and have my lunch, it's like me taking my claws out of him and being like, why don't you go for a nice leisurely walk before I finish you off? Go ahead. It's cool. I'm going to just rest. What? Come on, man. If you up 3-0 in the NBA Finals and you down by I don't care how much, I'm putting my foot on their neck. I'm taking the top off. Boobies is out. Hair blowing in the wind. I am not holding back because I don't want to give them any life. Suppose that gazelle never comes back. Now I get it. They're fighting against history. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. I get that. But come on. Why are you playing with your food? I'm at least trying, y'all. Now, people argue, hey, but you don't want to get them injured. It's the finals. If anything, let me make it a game so I don't give them any hope. Because I know if I could beat you by 38 and have you down by 40-plus points, almost 50 points, then I know I can come back from this 3-0 deficit because you garbage. You got blown out by 38 in the finals. You suck. That's what I'll be thinking if I was a Mavericks. I'll be like, guys, you see what we did tonight? Derek Lively is making history. He's like the first rookie. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think it's back-to-back double-doubles. Made history. Magic Johnson is the only player who's done that. So now you've put Derek Lively in the same conversation with Magic Johnson because you benched your stars. Boston Celtics and Boston Celtics fans, I hope that the Dallas Mavericks come back and make history and beat you. Facts. All day, ever. I stand on it. 10 toes down. I'm just saying. Oh, goodness. Couple more things. Barkley announced that he's going to retire after next season, which is wild for me. Which is really, really wild for me. And I've been paying attention to this story. First of all, TNT should have made it work and somehow retain the NBA, right? But from what I'm hearing, TNT was not thirsty like that. They're like, all right, you want that much money, you better get it from somebody else because we're not doing that. So I get that. A part of me is like, I'd like to see Barkley move on to another network and still maintain, that inside the NBA team with him, Shaq, Kenny, and Ernie. It looks like with this first domino falling, and arguably the most entertaining domino of all of them, that it's a really, really sad sign. So for me, I'm really thinking about what the future looks like for inside the NBA and also for Charles Barkley, because if he retires, it's going to be a sad day for sports media. If you want more about Barkley and the TNT saga, check out this episode. This episode was presented to you by BetOnline, where the game starts.